Hey, it's David, and today I'm talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger's Be Useful. Be useful, you idiot, right? I think this is a pretty good book. It's not going to get a perfect score from me, but let's get to the rating at the end. This book is one that I had to buy the moment I heard about it. I'd watched some interviews featuring Arnold Schwarzenegger. Here's somebody that I believe has a really good command of how to create and achieve success. I mean, he's been to a few mountaintops, right? So he's got a proven track record already. Not only that, though, but he also doesn't beat around the bush. He talks about it openly and directly. And it's a rare thing. There's a lot of people talking about success. There's a lot of people talking about pretending to know about success, but finding someone who talks about success and says it exactly the way it is rare. And even then, I would say this book has some missing pieces, but overall, the recipe does work as is, if you're willing to work your ass off, which is at the core of this book, not surprisingly. No part of that should be surprising to anyone if you know who Arnie is. I also saw this book featured recently in one of Ben Suttle's emails. So I thought to myself, if he features, I think it was maybe 5 books in his email, and one of them is Arnold's Be Useful, then I ought to get pretty excited about it. I mean, that's a good sign. All of a sudden, it felt like my purchase was validated. But was it? Okay, well, we'll get to that. So, for the most part, I really like Arnie. I certainly admire the mountains of success he's climbed in bodybuilding, in politics, in becoming a movie star, and beyond. And he's doing even more stuff with philanthropic, humanitarian, charitable type work nowadays. He's a cigar aficionado. I love cigars. And in fact, he's probably one of the people I looked up to when I made that decision for my life. I don't smoke like a chimney. In fact, it's maybe once to 4 times a year that I pick up a cigar. Nevertheless, I always enjoy the experience. Arnie and I definitely do not see eye to eye when it comes to politics, but why should we let something like that get in the way of this book's rating, right? And this book is not predominantly political oriented anyway, not in any way that I could sort of see. Here's what's good about the book: it's easy to read. That's always a good thing, right? I think Arnie's got this conversational style, and it's not too difficult to imagine him saying the things that he says in this book in real life. Not a bad thing. The content, though, is kind of mostly repetition of what you see in interviews. So if you're the type of person who's watched a bunch of interviews or is interested in Arnie and did your research, I don't know that there's a lot of new ground this book is going to cover or even necessarily reinforce. Like I guess it'll reinforce, but it's not going to augment your experience as it were. I think he speaks in very clearly when he's in interviews. I think he speaks very well and articulately and puts these ideas in a way that they're not hard to get or understand. I do think the chapter on sell, sell, sell is brilliant. And maybe that's why this book ended up on one of Ben Suttle's lists, is because this sell, 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 you got to sell, you got to get it out there. It's not just about like, it's not just about brute force, like sell your ass off. That's not really what the chapter is, although that could apply. But it's actually about looking at A, who are you selling to? B, what is the message that's going to land with them? So figuring that out. And then like oftentimes we think we're selling to certain people. Like if you're a guitar teacher, you might think you're selling to students or selling to children or kids. But the reality is you're selling to the parents. You see what I mean? So knowing who you're selling to and then using messaging that actually works for that audience. What do parents want to see their children do? Succeed, do well, express their creative selves, become really good at something, right? That's what you would sell to. You wouldn't be like, become better at an instrument today. Well, is that something people want? But becoming more adept, becoming more social, becoming successful. These are the things people want and that want for their children. So that's going to, a message that's going to appeal to them. I do have to add this, though, that I think the Netflix documentary on Arnie is so much better and the successful principles are all there. I think it's laid out very cleanly, very clearly in that documentary. I think it's better than this book. That's what I would probably turn to. It's not that this book is bad. It's not that it can't supplement your learning. But again, I don't know that it covers any new ground or augments anything in any particular way. So that's actually about all I have to say about this book. And my rating is going to be a 3 out of 5. It's kind of the case that I cannot give it a lower rating, but I also can't really give it a higher rating, if that makes sense. So it's not going to top the list of my best or favorite books or my top recommended books. I don't even know if it would appear on that list. But if you're curious, if you haven't watched the interviews, if you haven't watched the Netflix documentary, then Arnold Schwarzenegger's "Be Useful, Do It, You Idiot, Do It Now" might be something that you want to check out. As for what next, hobby reading binge here for a bit. So I just started on Gary Halbert's The Boron Letters, if you would like to follow along. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.